The woman stood at the edge of the dusty road, her bonnet shadowing half her face. The stagecoach had just rattled away, leaving her small carpetbag in the red dirt beside her boots. The air shimmered with heat. From across the road, a tall man in a wide-brimmed hat and a vest darkened with sweat watched her silently. When their eyes met, neither smiled. "Miss, you waiting for someone?" the man asked, voice low, edged with suspicion more than courtesy. She nodded once. "I reckon I am. Name's Clara Wren. You sent for a housekeeper." The man's jaw tightened. "Didn't figure she'd show up looking like a porcelain doll," he said. Clara set down her bag and looked him square in the eye. "I don't break easy, Mr. Cade. Porcelain doesn't walk across half of New Mexico on foot." For a long moment, the cowboy said nothing. Then his gaze drifted toward the ranch house in the distance, big, sun-bleached, and lonely against the hills. "Well, Miss Wren, let's see if you're as tough as you claim." The Cade Ranch sat 20 miles outside of Santa Fe, surrounded by nothing but thornbrush and ghostly mesquite trees. 3 children ran wild there, 2 boys and a girl, all barefoot and sunburned. Their mother had died 2 winters back. Since then, the ranch had grown louder, messier, and lonelier than any man could bear. Clara stepped off the wagon and stared at the chaos. A chicken running loose with a bootlace in its beak, a boy yelling that his brother stole his lizard, and a little girl sitting on the porch steps trying to braid her hair into something that resembled her late mother's style. "Lord help me," Clara murmured. "Lord's busy," said a dry voice. She turned to see Cade leading a tired bay mare toward the corral. "You want the job, you start now. Supper at 6. Kids don't bite much. By dusk, the kitchen smelled of beans, cornbread, and something faintly sweet. The children stared at her from the table like half-wild creatures unsure if she was real. The oldest boy, maybe 11, leaned forward. "You gonna be our new ma?" Before Clara could answer, Cade's voice came from the doorway. "She's here to keep the roof over your heads and the mud off your boots." "Nothing more." The boy frowned. "Pa, you said, that's enough, Eli." Clara felt the weight of that silence. She hadn't come to replace anyone. Truth was, she didn't even believe she could. Later, when the house had quieted, Cade found her standing on the porch, watching the moon rise over the hills. "You didn't tell me you had 3, she said softly. He shrugged. "Would have scared you off. Maybe," she admitted, "but maybe not." Cade leaned against a post. "You got family somewhere." "Had," she said simply. "Husband died back east. So did the baby." Something flickered in his expression. "Pity, maybe." She hated pity. "I can't have children," she added, before he could ask. "Doctor said it near broke me inside. So, if that changes your mind about hiring." Cade's mouth curved into the faintest smile. "Good," he said. "I've got enough kids for both of us." The air between them shifted, something soft, inspoken, dangerous. Clara turned away before he could see her blush. Weeks passed. The ranch grew quieter, cleaner. Clara taught the girl to sew, the boys to wash behind their ears, and Cade to sit at the table long enough to finish supper instead of pacing the porch like a restless ghost. Sometimes, when she hung laundry under the burning sky, she'd glance toward the fields and see Cade riding along the fence line, tall in the saddle, his hat tipped low. Once, he caught her watching. He raised a hand in greeting. She didn't wave back, but her heart gave a strange little twist. One evening, a storm rolled in fast from the west. The children ran, screaming as thunder cracked across the valley. Clara hurried to pull in the bedsheets before the rain hit, but the wind tore one from her hands and sent it flying. Cade came running from the barn. "Get inside," he shouted. She tried to grab the flapping cloth, but her foot caught on a root and she went down hard. The next thing she knew, his arms were around her, warm, strong, smelling of leather and rain. "You all right?" he asked, his face close enough for her to feel his breath. She nodded, heart pounding. But he didn't move, not right away. The rain came harder, drumming on the porch roof. Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the world went still. Then he let go, muttered, "You should be careful," and walked back into the storm. Something changed after that. Cade grew quieter, more thoughtful. He started lingering at the dinner table, asking about her day, watching her hands as she worked the dough. She noticed his gaze, the way it softened around her. One night, after putting the children to bed, She found him by the fire, mending a bridle strap. "Do you ever miss her?" she asked. He looked up, startled. "Your wife," she clarified. "I shouldn't have asked, but every day," he said. Then, after a pause, "But not like before. You bring peace into this house, Clara. Feels wrong to admit that." She lowered her eyes. "Peace is a fragile thing out here." "Yeah," he said, voice low. "So's the heart, dash dash dash." The next morning, trouble came riding. Two men, hard-faced and mean-eyed, appeared at the gate. Clara was hanging laundry again when she saw them. They weren't ranch hands, she could tell by the way they carried their pistols. Cade met them halfway down the path. She couldn't hear what was said, but the tone turned sharp. One of the strangers pointed toward the barn, then toward her. Cade stiffened, her stomach turned cold. Later, she found out why. Those men were bounty hunters, looking for someone named Clara Wren, accused of stealing from a bank back in Abilene. Cade came to her that evening, face grim. "You want to tell me why there's a price on your head?" She set down the wash basin, trembling. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." She took a deep breath. "My husband, he wasn't the man folks thought. He robbed that bank. I didn't know until it was too late. When he was killed, they blamed me. I ran. Been running ever since." For a long time, Cade just stared at her. Then he sighed and rubbed his temples. "Hell, Clara, I can go," she said quietly. "You don't owe me anything." He shook his head. "No, you're not going anywhere. Those kids need you. So do I." She blinked at him, unsure she'd heard right. Cade stepped closer, his voice soft but firm. "I don't give a damn what the law says. I know the kind of woman you are. And if anyone comes asking again, they'll have to go through me first." Dash dash dash. That night, Clara sat awake long after the lamps were out. She'd run for years, never trusting anyone, never staying anywhere long enough to matter. But now there were three little faces sleeping under this roof, and one man whose quiet strength made her feel safe for the first time since her world had burned down. The thought scared her more than any bounty hunter. Dash dash dash. The next morning, before sunrise, she found Cade saddling his horse. "Where are you going?" she asked. "To town," he said. "Need to square things with the sheriff before someone else comes sniffing around. Better he hears it from me. You'll tell him about me." He nodded. "The truth, that you're no thief, that this ranch stands with you." Her throat tightened. "And if he doesn't believe you?" Cade met her eyes. "Then I'll make him." She wanted to argue, but something in his tone silenced her. So, she just stood there as he rode away, dust rising behind him like smoke. Dash dash dash. Hours crawled by. The children played quiet, sensing her worry. Noon came and went. By sundown, still no sign of him. Then, hooves. Clara rushed outside. Cade rode in slow, hat low, shirt torn at the shoulder. "What happened?" she gasped. "Ran into your bounty men again," he said, swinging down from the saddle. "Sheriff cleared your name, but they didn't like hearing it. Tried to take matters into their own hands. Are you hurt?" He smiled faintly. Nothing worth fussing over, but she could see the blood under his sleeve. Without thinking, she reached for his arm. "Sit down before you fall down." He did. As she cleaned the cut, her hands shook. "You could have been killed," she whispered. He cut her wrist gently. "Worth it," he said. "You belong here, Clara. I'll fight whoever says otherwise." Her heart stumbled in her chest. "You don't even know if I'm staying." "I know." He smiled that slow, certain smile that made her knees weak. "You will." Dash dash dash. Weeks later, spring came soft and green. The hills bloomed. The ranch breathed again. One evening, as the sun bled over the horizon, Cade walked beside her down by the corral. "The kid's been asking questions," he said. "Oh, yeah, wondering why Miss Wren still sleeps in the room by the kitchen." She smiled faintly. "And what did you tell them?" "That maybe one day she won't." She froze. He turned to face her. "Clara," he said softly, "I've spent 2 years trying to raise those kids alone. I ain't perfect, but I know what feels right. This feels right. Don't run anymore." Her breath caught. "Cade, I told you, I can't have children." He reached up, brushed a strand of hair from her face, and whispered, "Good. I've got enough kids for both." The world seemed to still around them. The wind rustled the cottonwoods, and the last light of day painted gold across his face. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like a fugitive. She felt home. That night, after the children were asleep, Cade stood on the porch, staring out at the stars. Clara joined him quietly. "Never thought I'd find peace again," he said. She slipped her hand into his. "Peace finds those who stop running." He turned, met her eyes, and for once, didn't hesitate. His lips found hers, gentle but sure. When they parted, the night hummed with the sound of crickets and distant coyotes. "Welcome home, Clara," he murmured. And for the first time since she'd buried her past, she believed him. The next morning, the sun rose over the Cade ranch, bright, golden, and warm. The children tumbled out the door laughing, chasing a stray chicken across the yard. Cade came up behind her, coffee in hand. "Reckon you'll stay a while," she smiled, eyes soft with the kind of hope that doesn't fade. "I reckon I will." And somewhere deep inside, the woman who once thought she'd never belong again finally did.